So welcome to this session. My name is Barbara Gochalia, and I'm going to be taking you through this Unit 3, which is International Business Environment. And this is the chapter overview. We shall be looking at the introduction, the social and cultural environment, the technological environment, the economic environment, and then the political environment. So it's very important for us to know that the international business environment basically means the place around us, right? So it is very important for us to know that much as we are carrying out, businesses are carrying out international business, they have to put in mind the place around them, or the factors that are affecting the factors around them, which are basically the political, economic, social, technological, natural, and international factors, as we are going to find out, right? So these factors are categorized into internal factors, right? And then external factors. So we have environmental factors, and we have internal environmental factors, and then we also have external environmental factors. So with the internal environmental factors, basically, we are looking at the organization. We are looking at basically, we are focusing on basically departments, right, within an organization in simplicity. So with the internal environmental factors of a business, we are basically looking at the human resource management, right? How is the human resource management department working? We are looking at trade unions, right? How is this organization? How are the trade unions affecting the behavior of this business? In most cases, we've seen these trade unions. They are important, or they are useful when workers are agitating for their rights. For example, they could be agitating for higher salary increment, right? So if they use these trade unions to agitate for salary increments, then in most cases, you find that they are influencing these businesses maybe to increase their salary, right? And then another internal environmental factor is the organization structure. How is the business? How is the business structured? Yeah, but environment organization structure, we are looking at how the business is organized, basically in terms of, for example, hierarchy, right? We are looking at in terms of hierarchy. Is it in form of is it a decentralized kind of structure where we have where we take decisions from the lower people, lower workers, like the cleaners? Is it centralized whereby orders are coming from above? That kind of management hierarchy. Then financial management, how the business handles its finances determines its success or failure. Then marketing management, we are looking at, for example, how is the marketing department faring? How is it working towards achieving the organization objective? Are you investing a lot in the marketing, right? Maybe in the advertisement, in increasing sales. Then the production management, how is the production department working? Are you working towards reducing maybe the stock levels, yeah, and reducing costs, that kind of thing? So how you manage the production determines the success of the business. Then management or leadership style. So management, the management style has a lot to do with determining the efficiency of a business. If the management is inefficient, then I do not expect any business success. So those are the internal environmental factors. Then we have external environmental factors, right? So these external environmental factors are categorized, they are subdivided into two, into micro external factors and macro external factors, right? So with a micro, basically we are dealing at it at a level of competitors, the businesses competitors or rival firms. You're looking at, for example, the more the competitors, the more it stimulates these businesses maybe to increase their quality levels of their products, right? And we are looking at customers, the customers influence. Of course, the customer demand will determine what you produce. Are we getting? If you're working towards customer satisfaction, then at the end of the day, you end up dancing at the tunes of the customers, because in most cases, your customers will be, customer is king, isn't it? And then for micro external factors, still under external environmental factors, we look at factors like market intermediaries. By market intermediaries, we mean agents, if you know agents. For example, if you look at, they are called what? Brokers. Those brokers, we have insurance brokers, even have those real estate brokers, those ones, it will determine, right, the success of, for example, those brokers, insurance brokers or real estate brokers. There is a way they simplify life in connecting the seller and the buyer, right? Compared, for example, if you're using those brokers, it will be cheaper than advertising, right? Then for micro external factors, you're looking at factors to do with the suppliers of raw materials, yeah, whether the supply of the raw material, the sustainability of the supply of raw materials will determine your success. And then bankers, do you have banks that will avail you with the loans, right? And other financial institutions. And then we are looking at suppliers of finance. These are other financial institutions. Do you have access to loans? Of course, the easier the access to loans, the better for a business. And then we are looking at factors like shareholders and the other stakeholders of the business. So the shareholders, what they determine for their business, because the shareholders are these people that own that business. They have those shares in the business. So what they determine, the decisions that they give, or what they want, what to be done in their organization, will determine the success of this business. If you find these shareholders are disorganized, they are always conflicting, at the end of the day, the business will not be successful. So those are the micro external factors and the external factors, right? And then under the external factors, we have the macro environmental factors. So the macro environmental factors, basically we have what we call the stepping, yeah, what we abbreviate by the stepping. What we abbreviate by the stepping, we have the political, we have the economic, social, technological, international factors, and the natural factors, right? Those are the macro external factors. Are we together? And the internal factors, basically, that we have looked at, the micro external factors, and the macro external factors. They help us to carry out what we call a SWOT analysis. Maybe you've come across this word, SWOT, and that acronym, SWOT analysis, which stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats, right? Stands for strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. And basically the strength, the internal, the micro external factors that we've looked at, they help us to to determine the strength and weakness of the business. The micro external factors, they help us to determine the strength and weakness of the business. And then the macro external factors, they help us to determine the opportunities and the threats for the business. All right. So basically here, this is a summary of the business environment. This is the summary of the business environment, where the business environment is comprised of, it comprises where we see that the business environment is categorized into the internal environment and the external environment. And we've seen that the internal environment, basically, we are looking at the fact, those departments. You just take it in the perspective of those departments in an organization, right? For example, the production department, the finance department, marketing, human resource department, research and development department, and then the organization structure in terms of the management, the organization structure in terms of the hierarchy, that leadership hierarchy. That's the internal environment. And then the external environment, we've seen that it is further subdivided into the micro external environment and the macro external environment. And we've seen that the micro, basically, we are looking at the stakeholders, right? We are looking at the stakeholders, yeah. We are looking at the shareholders, we are looking at the creditors, the banks, the financial institutions, the level of availability of the financial institutions to provide loans for this business. We are looking at the competitors, the rival firm, the number of competitors determine the success of the farm, of the business, the suppliers of raw material, right? Do you have cheaper sources of supply of raw material? The market intermediaries. We've looked at, for example, insurance brokers. We've looked at, for example, real estate brokers. Those ones, they simplify connecting the seller and the buyer. And if these brokers are in place, of course, the marketing costs will reduce, right? Instead of advertising, you'll be using these brokers to connect you, the customers, right? Of course, the high level of customers will lead to high business success. How customers are satisfied determines how well the business will fare economically. Then the external macro environment comprises of these factors that we've summarized in an acronym called STEPIN, which are the social cultural factors, the technological, the economic factors, the political factors, the international factors, and then the natural factors. So we are going to be looking at each of these factors in detail. So let's begin with the social and cultural factors. Let's begin with the social and cultural factors. So with the social factors, we look at factors like religion, family, marriage, right? Education, social responsibilities, people's attitude towards work. All those ones determine the success. They determine the success of international business. And then with culture, we have culture has to do with, for example, beliefs, norms, right? Norms, customs, value, people's ways of life, right? And then whether the people are learned. Of course, culture will be determined by a number of things, whether these people are learned. It will determine, you find that some cultures, they do not believe in women studying a lot, right? They do not even believe in educating, in education. So that will have a lot to do with determining the success of business, international business, right? So practically here, we mean that when you want to conduct international business, you will have to study, you'll have to make an environmental scan in terms of the cultural factors. Get to know what is the type of culture for these people. For example, you will not begin selling alcohol in a country like Saudi Arabia, because it's a Muslim country. Look at their culture. What is their culture like? Are we together? So culture is very important in determining the success, the way of life of those people. You may find that the kind of products that you're selling internationally to that particular country, it's not even consumed by those citizens, simply because of their beliefs, simply because of their culture. So at the end of the day, much as you may want to internationally carry out trade with a particular country, here we are saying that you have to study the environment, what we call the international business environment, in terms of all these perspectives, in terms of the cultural aspects, right? So we realize that culture is dynamic. It keeps on changing. Of course, the different cultures have been modified as people change, or as people borrow these other cultures. I should say they import maybe these other Western cultures into their maybe African tradition and that kind of thing, right? So that was all about culture. You may find some cultures in terms of tastes and preferences. They don't taste, they don't eat. Maybe you may find, for example, some Indians, they don't take meat, they don't take beef, right? Those are, for example, the Hindus. I hear they don't take beef. The Japanese, some of them, they change. They have different tastes, and they've been changing from rice and fish to meat and dairy products. So it's very important for us to know, to study the cultural environment as we are carrying out international business. Then also the social environment, like we've seen, that it can be in terms of, for example, religion, right? In terms of religion, religion has a lot to do with the determining the success of international business, right? For example, we have Christianity, which is subdivided into very many religions, subdivided into very many religions, like Protestants. We have the Roman Catholics, right? We have the Orthodox and so on. The list is endless. Then we have the Muslims. We have we have what you call Hinduism, right? We have what we call Buddhism. For example, the Muslims, for them, they do not take alcohol, right? So they have these different religions have different beliefs, right? They have different beliefs. So we are going to realize that some religions, even for them, they do not allow people to work. They do not believe in working. They do not believe in having material things. That is the social factors. Then still under social factors, we have the family system. We have the family system. All right. So with the family system here, we realize that in some countries, for example, women are not they are not allowed to engage in business, right? They are not allowed to engage in business. So as you're carrying out international business, you also have, maybe you may find that the kind of job that you are, that the kind of business that you are doing requires mostly women. So you have to find out, does that country, in terms of their social aspects, the social factors, do they allow women to work? So that will be a critical issue, right? So let's also look at is, we are still under social and cultural factors. So the behavior factors affect business. These are the cultural factors that you've already looked at. Yeah, the culture determines the behavior, the behavior patterns of citizens in different citizens in different countries, right? So for example, in some countries, like the USA, they reward people according to performance. They reward the employees according to performance. But you find that in some countries like Malaysia, for them, they will reward people according to the ethnic group. Can you imagine? You pay someone salary according to his or her ethnic group on top of the person's performance. So all those are attitudes, yeah, towards work. The attitudes towards female employment also differ from country to country. So at the end of the day, all these are going to determine the success of international business with the countries, right? Still under social factors, we have motivation and achievement. So here, for example, we find out that the people's attitude towards work, some of them, if they're not motivated towards work, right? Especially as determined by their religions. Some religions preach that you should not believe. For example, Hinduism, for it preaches that they do not believe in materialistic needs. They should concentrate more on praying, religion, spiritual life, more than their materialistic needs. So in such societies or in such countries, business will not be international business will not be successful, very successful. So as you carry out international business, here the key message here is that we have to make an environmental scan in form of all these factors, the social factors. We are still under social factors, how these social factors affect behavior. Then we have what we call power distance. Power distance is the relationship between the superior and the subordinates, or for example, the relationship between the employer and the employees. So with the power distance, this was developed by Hofstede, right? A scholar known as Hofstede. So for him, he said that in his theory, the power distance theory, he says that in countries which have high power distance, are basically those countries that are autocratic. To be autocratic is to be a dictatorial, yeah? Dictators, autocratic societies. And in these autocratic societies, basically, they do not they do not believe so much in subordinates. Subordinates are really getting advice from really like being close to the superiors, right? So for them, that relationship between, for example, employer and employee is not there. So it is basically a dictatorship, or what we call autocracy. Yeah, benevolent autocracy. Then with those societies that have low power distance societies, which we call low power distance societies, are those societies where there is a relationship between, there is a good relationship, I should say a good relationship between the superior and the subordinates, or between the employer and the employees if it's an organization. So we have those countries like Israel, Sweden, those they have low power distance. And basically low power distance means democratic kind of leadership. And of course, we know that with democracy here, you give people, they have the power, they have the freedom to contribute towards the decision making. Yeah. In other words, in terms of business, there is a good employee-employer relationship, right? So the power distance also will determine the success of international business. Then another social factor is what we call individualism versus collectivism. So individualism here, we mean that some people, for example, at their places of work, in some countries, some people, some cultures, they believe that for them they should not, they should work as an individual, not as a team. Whereas other societies, they believe that in other countries, they believe that they should work as a team, right? So that has a lot to do with determining the success of international business. Then risk-taking behavior, we are still on social factors, risk-taking behavior. So with the risk-taking behavior, for example, you may hear, we mean that with the organizations, we are looking at organizations, but internationally, those ones that do not want to take risks. If you don't want to take risks, of course, even in international business, in any business, there are risks. Those people that are risk, we call them risk averse. You don't want to take a risk because you feel you make losses. Then in such societies, you may not be successful, while such countries, you may not be successful with the carrying out international business with them because they fear taking risk, right? And any business requires entrepreneurs are risk takers. Then masculinity, we are still under social factors. Masculinity, here masculinity, it will not be in how the way maybe you feel it is, but it was also, this was also it is a concept that is explained by Hofstede. And the Hofstede says here with the masculinity, basically he divides it into what he calls what he defines as masculinity and then femininity, right? So according to Hofstede, masculinity means those societies which are basically they focus on success, money, and materials. Can you imagine? According to Hofstede, masculinity society, masculinity is a degree to which the dominant values of a society are success, money, and material things. So if a country or a society is focusing more on money, material things, and success, then it means it is a masculine society. Are we together? And then a femininity society is that society that instead focuses on the quality of life of the people and the caring for other people. A femininity society is a society that focuses on the quality of life of the people and caring for other people. So that is the difference between masculinity and femininity according to Hofstede, right? So of course, different countries are categorized depending on what they consider. They are categorized as the feminist countries and masculine countries. Are we together? For example, if it is a masculine society, or in a country, in that country, it is a masculine, basically masculine society, it means that their business, international business, will be successful because for them, they are more dominant. They are more concentrated on, they focus on success, money, and what material. Their international business will be successful. But with the feminist societies in those countries, here, their international business will not be successful. Why? Because for them, they are not considering money and material, but they are considering rather to care for others and the quality of life. So that's what we mean by masculinity. So what are the strategies for dealing with the cultural differences? What should be done to deal with this challenge of cultural differences, right? Number one is to make adjustments wherever necessary. To make adjustments whenever necessary, right? So of course we've seen that different countries have different what? Different cultures. But you, as for example, an employer, you should be flexible, right? You should be flexible. You may find it, for example, with international business, you find that maybe at the workplaces, these people are not, as people are going maybe to other countries to transact, they are not allowed, maybe they are allowed to dress in a certain way because it is a Muslim country, that kind of thing. So at the end of the day, we have to, as employers, for example, or as business people, we have to be flexible in terms of adjusting, to cultures. We should not be rigid, right? So that will help a lot in eliminating those cultural barriers that actually hinder international trade. Then communication, right? This is to solve the problem of cultural barriers, yeah, to international trade. Now, with the communication, basically, you find that, for example, language barrier can be a hindrance to international trade. You find you want to make business, but in that country, maybe it's the Chinese, you don't know Chinese, and yet you want to trade with China. Are we together? For example, you find that China has it is working a lot now on teaching people the Chinese language. It is they are working a lot on teaching the Chinese language in African countries because they want to simplify business. They want to simplify international trade with Africa, because if these Africans know the Chinese language, even if they are trading or they are communicating via phone or they are going flying to China, the language will not be a problem. Are we together? So even internationally, with the globalization, you find that we are having virtual, we are having e-business and e-commerce, but we are having what we call, if you've seen the language translators, those translators, they are basically there. You can see them on Google, where you see that one language can be translated into another language, right? You've seen people in conferences, but they are having those, are they called the earphones or something? But practically it is, they are translating the language to simplify business, yeah? So basically that is, we should also be able to, for example, to translate these languages and make sure that language barrier is not a hindrance to business, international business. And then still adjusting it to cultural barriers, the businesses should have what we call a competitive advantage, right? A competitive advantage is that that exceptional skill or exceptional ability of a business that makes it to outstand other businesses, that makes it to outcompete its rival firms internationally. Of course, here we are looking at international business. So for example, you may find that some countries, for them, they have invested more in education, which education enhances employee commitment, increases productivity, and reduces the cost of operations. So that one will be a competitive advantage over countries that have not invested in educating their citizens. Of course, education is also in a part of the social factors, right? and then still working on the cultural hindrances. What should be done is that these businesses should follow what we call culture and business ethics. Culture and business ethics, right? Culture and business ethics, right? For example, in some countries like China, for them, there is something they call guangxi, yeah, which means giving a gift or money to others, yeah, including government officials for help they have rendered. So for them in China, it is okay. Giving a gift for someone for doing, whether government officials, someone else, for doing work for you, for them, they consider it okay. But in other countries, it will be called bribery and corruption. Are we together? So business ethics is basically having guidelines that make us having guidelines, businesses having guidelines to follow in order to be able to cope up with culture. So according to Thomas Donaldson, he suggests that international business firms should be guided by the following ethical principles. Number one, they should respect core human values and rights, right? So much as the culture is there, and the culture is different for international, for different countries internationally, there should be respect for these human values and rights. Culture should not violate human values and human rights. Are we together? And then also, businesses should give respect for local tradition. If that is what, if you're carrying out international business, you'll have to abide by what the traditions they do or believe in, right? That's what you call flexibility. You should be flexible to the local tradition as much as you're carrying out your international business with that country. And then also you have to look at the situation and assess and make rational decisions. Are we together? There are situations whereby you have to just assess and make rational decisions, although the culture may be there, right? So let us look at religion. We are still looking at social factors. We've looked at cultural factors we are looking at social factors. We've looked at cultural factors. So I've briefly talked about the religions, how religion affects international business. So we've seen that there are a number of religions around the world. We have the Christians. For example, we have the Christians, we have the Protestants, the Roman Catholic Church, the Orthodox, and so on. So for example, the Protestants, for them, they believe in hard work. They believe in reinvesting in wealth, right? They believe in further development, right? And according to them, for them, they believe in what we call capitalism. The Protestants, they believe in hard work and investing in wealth, reinvesting wealth. So basically, if you are carrying out international business where people are citizens or people are predominantly Protestants, it means the international business will be successful in that country with you, because you're dealing with that country which has which is dominated by Protestants. And then we see that there are also Muslims, what we call Islam, right? With the Islam, for them, for example, the Quran approves doing business, but as long as you are earning legitimate profits, that's what the Quran says. And for them, they believe that when you get a loan, you're not supposed to pay interest. What we call, if you've heard of what we call Islamic banking, if you've heard of what we call Islamic banking, for them, they believe that when you get a loan, when you give a loan, you are not supposed to charge what? Interest. So those beliefs, those religious beliefs, if you are carrying out so with those religious beliefs, if you are carrying out business in, for example, a country that is predominantly Muslims, or which is dominated by Islam, you may not be successful in case you are dealing in the kind of business, maybe banking, maybe giving out loans, that kind of thing. You may not be successful because for them, they do not believe in paying interest to loans. So it is very important that as the businesses are planning to carry out international business, they basically take what we call an environmental scan. And the environmental scan will involve all these other factors that we are looking at. For example, we are looking at the social cultural factors, right? Then we look at another social factor in terms of religion. We are looking at religion basically, and we are looking at different forms of faith in religion. For example, when you look at Hinduism, you've heard of the Hindus, the Hinduism. For them, they do not believe in working. They do not encourage entrepreneurial activity. That is Hinduism. So if you are planning to carry out international business, you should not put a country that is predominantly populated with the Hindu religion or the Hinduism, and then you expect to be successful via international business. That will be out, right? Then we have what we call Buddhism. Yeah, you've heard of all these religions. Also, Buddhism does not support entrepreneurial activity. Are we together? So at the end of the day, these religions, these countries that are dominated with these religions that do not support, that do not believe in entrepreneurial activity, are doing international business there will not be successful, right? Then we have another form of religion or faith, which is called Confucianism. Confucianism, right? So according to Confucianism, here, this one is it is popular in countries like China, Korea, Japan, Taiwan. It is a form of belief that was founded in the 5th century, right? And for them, basically, with the Confucianism, they believe that the employees are supposed to be loyal to their employers. They believe in loyalty between the superiors and the subordinates. So for them, if it's in form of an organization, a business firm, they believe that the employees should be subject, they should be obedient to their bosses. And as a result, for them, in turn, as a payment of the employees being obedient to the employers, in turn, the employers provide them what you call a lifetime employment, And according to Confucianism, for them, they honor contractual agreements and obligation, right? So basically, that one gives countries like Japan, China, Taiwan, it gives them a competitive advantage in doing business, in doing international business. So that was the social cultural environment. Let's look at the technological environment. Let's look at the technological environment. Now, with the technology, of course, as you're carrying out, you're planning to do international business, you also have to do an environmental scan of the technology, the level of technology of the country that you are going to carry out international business with, right? For example, this technology influences a number of things. It influences the way we live, the way we cook, right? Technology influences the way we cook, the way we live, the way we communicate. Are you using telephones? Are you using emails? Are you using video conferencing? All right. The way we study, for example, here we are using technology to study, contrary to the ordinary way of studying, where people were studying physically, writing on whiteboards and blackboards and using chalk. Here, the technology now is telling us to basically do what we call video conferencing, yeah, where we are using Zoom and all these other platforms, right? So that is technology influencing the way we do our things, right? So technology also determines the level of economic development. It determines the level of economic development of a country. Of course, the higher the level of technology, the more developed a country is, right? So of course we see that with the technology, of course, we see that technology is the application, is the use of scientific knowledge to doing work, right? So we see that, of course, countries that have come up with the technology, coming up with new innovation, new machines, they are more developed than those that have not, right? So as you're carrying out, as you're planning to do international business, you should carry out an environmental scan. Yeah, you should scan the technological environment. And scanning the technological environment here, we mean that you're basically studying the situation in terms of studying the situation maybe in another country. You're studying the level, for example, of technology of the industry in the home country. The home country is, for example, if you're staying in Uganda, but you want to do business with maybe the United States, Uganda will be the home country, and the United States will be the host country. For example, you want to start to open up a subsidiary company in the US. You are a Ugandan, but you want to open up, you have a company here in Uganda, but you want to open up maybe another subsidiary company, maybe in Kenya, right? So Uganda will be your home country, the home country of that multinational company, and the Kenya will be the host country. I hope we are getting the difference between home country and host country. So basically, as you're carrying out an environmental scan, or you're scanning the technological environment, you'll have to study the level of technology of the industry in the home country, right? For example, here in Uganda. And then also, you also have to study the level of technology of the industry in the proposed host country, where you want to start another subsidiary company, will be the host country. Then look at the compatibility of those technologies. Are the two levels of technology corresponding? Do they agree? If they are not compatible, then you have to adjust. You'll have to adjust the level of technology such that they are compatible. Then still here, you are doing a technological scan. You're scanning the environment in terms of technology. Then you also have to study the effect of this technology to the culture of the host country, where we want to, for example, open up a subsidiary company. Yeah. Well, how does the culture, how will it affect this how will this technology affect the culture of that host, of the industry in the host country? Then look at the government policies in the host country. Are they favorable to that level of technology that you want to introduce there? Are they, is the government policy in that host country favorable to the technology, the level of technology that you want to introduce there? That should be a question that you answer. If it's not favorable, then you don't go ahead to carry out international business in that host country, because it is not going to be successful. Then you look at the modes of technology or technology transfer. Look at the modes of technology transfer. Here we are looking at like joint ventures. Here what we mean is that, for example, with joint ventures, you will not have to, you are basically working with, if there are two countries, you do a joint venture, you are buying shares, for example, in another company, and you're owning it. Two or more people, you are owning that company. That is a joint venture. So with a joint venture, the advantage of the joint venture is that if you, the person, are venturing with the other colleagues of yours, you don't know you don't have the relevant technological skills, but your colleagues that you are joint venturing with, maybe in another country, they have the required technological skills. Then it means that you will not invest in the technological skills, but rather the other people will be key in helping you out. I hope that is clear. And then also still under technological, you're scanning the technological environment, you have to study the technology, right? You have to study the impact of that technology in the home country, including the laws of environmental pollution. So much as you're introducing that technology, how are the environmental pollution laws in that country? You may find that that kind of technology that you're introducing, that it's going to be maybe harmful to the environment. So you have to make sure that that kind of technology you're introducing should be able to abide by the environmental pollution laws in that country. So all those you have to put into consideration while carrying out environmental scan. But in this perspective, in terms of technology. So we see that the information, if we are comparing information technology and globalization here, we mean that being able to use this information technology to doing business, to doing international business, to doing business in other, carrying out business with other countries. And the advantage of using information technology to carry out international business is that number one is that it reduces the size of inventories. It reduces the size of inventory, basically because you are dealing everything, you find that you'll be working virtually, you'll be working online. So at the end of the day, you will not have to this business of keeping maybe the inventory in the warehouses and so on. You're communicating online, and then it reduces the delivery time. Yeah, it reduces the delivery time because there is a flow, information flow, faster information flow. It reduces on unproductive waiting time, because everything is, you find that, for example, if you're transporting something, maybe these couriers, you'll be able to track, where that courier is, and they will be able to tell you it has reached this country, it has reached this country at this time. So that is how information technology works. Then it will be able to reduce instances of stockouts and lost sales, So basically, you track these goods. You track them using the technology to avoid the loss of those goods. And then it brings about responding to market changes at a faster rate. And then it reduces rush orders. It cuts down overproduction. Of course, because there is information from the customers, you're using technology to get information, to get to determine the demand. Yeah, the output demanded from your customers. So you're literally supplying what is demanded. There is no excess supply. Then using information technology to carry out international business also reduces unnecessary movement of forwarding and backtracking. And then also it reduces paperwork and wasteful processes. Yeah. For example, if you're working online, here I even think that somehow I think that you students don't have books. Do you have books where you write?
Yes, we do.
Do you write?
We just take summaries. We don't write.
So that is technology. Gone are the days when we used to have black books. You write, and the book gets finished and you buy another one. So these are students that are in the technological world. You get here, I'm teaching using Zoom. So you're literally not even writing anywhere. Then from there, you get the notes from the platform. Then maybe the notes, even you're getting them, some of them are using your smartphones. You're reading these notes from your smartphone or from your laptop. So really, where is the headache coming from? Where should the headache come from? So you people, and you find that what is so interesting and challenging, or what is so perturbing, is that students that are on this technological kind of era, they're even more lazy. They are more lazy. They have all the information. They have all the search engines, Google, whatever. But they are so lazy. Yes, everything is there. No struggle, no writing notes. You know, everything is simplified for you. But at the end of the day, I don't even know that some of you have ever entered the library or even know how a physical library looks like. So that kind of thing is technology. So we are saying that this using information technology to carry out international business reduces paperwork and wasteful process. So here you're not using paperwork. You're basically using communicating using emails. So where is the paperwork there? Where is the printing there? Isn't that reduction of cost in terms of buying paper? Then it helps in planning production levels accurately. Of course, because here you are in touch with the customers, you're in direct touch with the suppliers, but online, you're using the technology, right? And also it reduces the physical movement of employees. You don't have to move from one country to another, but rather if someone wants to buy a car, you order online, they send it. There is nothing like I have to travel to Dubai, I have to travel to China. No, you just order everything online. So that is the goodness with the information technology easing or simplifying international business. So that was the technological environment. Let's look at the economic environment. Let's look at the economic environment. So we see that there has been changes. There has been changes in the global economy. There's been changes in the global economy, right? And these changes basically have been in form of changes in capital flow, right? We've seen changes in capital flow rather than trading in the capital flow rather than trading in the goods, the particular goods and services. There's been changes in terms of establishment of production facilities in various countries. Of course, now we see that a transnational company or multinational company will have subsidiary companies in another country, right? And then also there's been technological revolution where we see that because of using technology, we see that there's been a delinking of the production level with the employment. Of course, technology, you'll use less employees, let's say human beings or human capital, but you will have more output. And then there's been changes in primary products being delinked from the industrial economies, yeah, where we are basically using where we are basically, it is basically manufacturing, right? And then here we see that with changes in economic environment, we are seeing that the macroeconomic factors of individual nations do not independently control the global economic outcomes, right? And then also with the changes, we see that the context, there's been changes whereby the contest between capitalism and the communism is over. And at the end of the day, we have capitalism presiding or succeeding over what we call communism or socialism. So we shall be looking at what each of these mean. So let's look at the economic systems, the economic system. And an economic system, we've looked at these economic systems in our microeconomics and the managerial economics, right? So with economic systems, it's basically an organization of institutions that is basically established to satisfy human wants and human needs. And these are basically three types of economic systems. We have what you call capitalism, communism, and mixed. If you remember in economics, we saw those economic systems where we saw a free market system, a centrally planned system, and a mixed economy. Are we together? Whereby a free market system is basically capitalism. A centrally planned economy or a command economy is the communism. And the mixed economy is the mixture of the two, or it is the combination of the two. So let's look at economic systems, and we have what we call capitalist economic system. So here briefly, I'm just going to explain capitalism. Basically here, we are looking at a free market system. And the capitalism believes in private ownership of factors of production. Capitalism, it believes in private ownership